This video goes over some different approaches to graphing lines. So the first one that we can do is make a table of values and graph. So I'm given this equation here. I've chosen some x values, and now I'm going to figure out what the corresponding y value would be. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my x value and add 4. That gives me a y value of 2. Minus 1, add 4, gives me a y value of 3. 0, add 4, y value of 4. 1 plus 4 is a y value of 5. And then 2 plus 4 is a y value of 6. So now I'm going to plot these here. So minus 2, 2, minus 1, 3, 0, 4, 1, 5, and 2, 6. Then I'm going to get my ruler out, and I'm going to go right across the graph going through those points. I know that my graph continues because I am looking at an equation, and then I'm going to put arrows on my line to show that it continues past those points that I've graphed. Okay, so the graph shows all the possible solutions, okay, where y is, let's say, equal to x plus 4. So let's go down and do another one here. So now we've got a little bit more complicated equation, minus 2x plus 3. The approach is still the same. We're just going to substitute in our x value, and then we're going to solve for y. So minus 2 times minus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Minus 2 times minus 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. Minus 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 3 is 3. Minus 2 times 1 is minus 2. Plus 3 is 1. And my last one, minus 2 times 2 plus 2 is going to give me minus 1. So I'm going to plot those on my graph. Minus 2 and 7, minus 1 and 5, 0 and 3, 1 and 1, 2 and minus 1. So I can see that my line is falling to the right. So I'm going to use my ruler here and get it to go through those points. Again, I'm going to extend my line all the way across the graph. And then I'm going to add arrows on the end to show that it continues. So in order to represent a line, I actually only need 2 ordered pairs to graph a line. But in a table of values, you should use a minimum of 5 to make sure that your trend is actually a line. Let's do another example here with a fraction. And now I've left the x values blank. Because I'm using a fraction, I want to use values that are going to be easy for me to graph. So I'm going to choose x as minus 5, 0, and 5. Okay. And let's actually just go back up and edit this. Using 3, we'll say, is enough to guarantee that you've got a linear pattern here. Okay, so I've chosen my 3 points here for x. I'm going to substitute in. Subbing in minus 5 gives me a y value of minus 1. Substituting in 0 gives me a y value of 0. And substituting in positive 5 gives me a y value of 1. So putting those on the graph, I've got minus 5, minus 1, 0, 0, and 5, 1. And I can get out my ruler. I noticed that this one is very shallow. my slope is quite low. So I'm going to extend my line all the way across my graph and add arrows to show that it continues. So those are 3 examples graphing with a table of values. You can also graph a line using the slope and a point. So if you remember, the slope represents the rise over the run. So I'm going to start at my given point. Okay. Because I know that it's a line, I know that to get to the next point on my graph, it has to be connected by my slope. So I'm going to rise 2 and run 3 to get to my next point. You only have to draw 2. I usually like to draw 3 because it makes my line a little bit more accurate. So I can get to a third point by rising 2 and running 3 here. Now I've got 3 points. I can see my pattern, and that's going to allow me, there we go, to draw a line right through there. Okay. Arrows on the ends and extend the line all the way across your graph. So let's do another example here. This is my starting point. I now have my rise is going to be -1, so I can just move it up to the numerator, and my run is 3. So I'm going to start at 1, 2. My rise is negative, so that means I'm going to go down first, and then to the right 3. I'm going to do that one more time. Down 1, over 3, and then I'm going to connect those together. So a little bit of a shallower slope this time. Again, right across my graph. And I'm going to put the arrows on the end. My last one. Okay. Here, my starting point is 9 minus 3. So I will plot that on here. And now my slope is a whole number. If you remember, anytime we have a slope that's a whole number, our denominator is always 1. My rise is 4 and my run is 1. So I can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then over 1 gives me one more point right here. And now I know that my line is rising up to the right, so I can also go down 4 and left 1 to get another point that is in my pattern. That would be the same as my rise and my run both being negative, which is going to result in a positive slope. Got my line going across my graph and my arrows on the end. Those are 2 methods that you can use to graph a line.